There's the overall radar. If you're watching from Lake Charlotte, you're fine. There's some storms nearby, but you're okay. Other cells are popping up, across Livingston County. We had one move through Lansing and eastern sections of Ingham County. But the strongest cells have been actually on the west side today. And there's another cell that we're watching pretty closely north of Grand Rapids. That cell too, could possibly begin to rotate a bit as well. I'm going to go back to the rotation, and a little more wind with that cell north of Grand Rapids than there is our cell. The cell that I'm watching, the tornado warned storm, at this moment doesn't look terribly impressive. So this is, as far as I have seen and know, there's no new updates. It looks like that cell is still Doppler indicated as far as anything tornadic. I'm going to put this in motion, the hail tracker, because hopefully I'm seeing an encouraging sign there, which is that hail tracker starting to drop color-wise a little bit. So hopefully that is a sign that it is beginning to weaken just a little bit. Of course, we will continue to keep a close eye on that. As far as, what other threats, really, it's going to be wind typically, which is your biggest threat. And it's not necessarily going to come from something we see on Doppler, because as I look at some of these numbers inside this storm, it's really not that impressive. 21 miles per hour. I can check another spot, but that's not really the way some of these storms work, 16 miles per hour. What happens is, basically, this thunderstorm is lofting precipitation in this area. There it goes. Notice now the color drop there. That's really good. So hopefully that means we're going to get rid of this warning soon. But as those colors drop, that means that all the precipitation that's been lofted up and hailed into this storm, that means that it is dropping out of that storm. So somewhere in southeastern sections of Ionia County, there is probably a lot of wind happening right now, because as that cool air, the hail, the rain, all gets dropped out of the storm, it spreads out at the surface, and you'll get damaging wind gusts. That's really typical in summertime here, to see these collapsing thunderstorms produce damaging winds right before they kind of give up the fight and they're done. So that's what we're hoping with this cell. There's also other thunderstorms, obviously, that are just to the south of our main cell, and these can interfere with this storm's ability to continue to rotate and be a strong thunderstorm. So that also is something I'm kind of hoping that happens. Just looking at some storm reports coming in from the National Weather Service, but this is mainly west of us, of branches down, things like that. So nothing so far in the immediate viewing area. That is great news. Rotation continues to look meager. Our hail tracker continues to kind of come down. Assuming that continues, I suspect this warning will be canceled a little bit early, as hopefully this storm is now beginning to collapse. But we still want to take it very seriously. If you live in these tornado warned areas, Clinton County, southwestern Clinton County, northern sections of Eaton County, and southeastern sections of Ionia County, that is where you want to head to your safe area immediately, away from all doors and windows, to give yourself as much distance between you and the outside, as many structures between you and the outside. I'm going to storm track this again. If it pops back up in intensity, these are the areas that would be affected. Eagle still looking at around 348, 349, Grand Ledge by 357, Lansing 427, then East Lansing and Okemos as we get after 430. But I suspect this storm will not last that long, because that's the nature of storms in this kind of environment. They'll go up quick, and oftentimes they don't last terribly long. Still, nonetheless, though, we do continue with a tornado warning in effect for southeastern sections of Ingham County, not Ingham County, Ionia County, northern sections of Clinton County, southwestern sections of Clinton County, northern sections of Eaton County. There we go. That's where we've got the most activity. I'm going to go back over to the Grand Ledge tower cam, and we'll take a look out towards the west. Again, I don't anticipate really seeing a whole lot out there. We can certainly see the storm, and I'm going to bring up my cam, and I'm going to pan this around a little bit so we can kind of see all the storm structure happening in and around that thunderstorm, because we do have other storms besides that that are affecting those same areas as well. All right, so we head to the west. Just looks, got some low-hanging clouds, but nothing that really looks particularly bad. Looks like a rain area there. And we're looking now towards downtown Grand Ledge. And I'm going to swing back the other direction where our storms are. There's the rain from that main storm that we're keeping a close eye on, but that's all I can see is just rain. So if there was anything in there, we would not be able to make that out. And now we're getting more towards the north side of that storm, so we're kind of getting away from it, which, in case you're wondering, I get this question a lot. Our tower cam is actually on the grain elevator in Grand Ledge, just across the bridge. That's our vantage point, and yeah, really, to me, it looks like just a rainy area. So that will be the area of concern. You know, we'll continue to watch it on the tower cam and the radar. But overall, as I said, you know, to me, it looks like that rotation is still rotating enough. The Weather Service is continuing the warning for a while longer, but they're noting that that the storm appears to be, you know, weakening quite a bit, and that's kind of, you know, what we expect to happen. I'm going to go back to a few products, and we'll do a little, we call it meteorological interrogation. We're just looking at every aspect of a storm to determine if it is, you know, a really dangerous storm or one that is less dangerous. And rotation to me looks very broad. You know, as a meteorologist, I don't see anything there now. So I feel pretty good that if we did see anything tornadic, it would have probably already lifted. The worst of this is probably around Sunfield now. That's where the wind field looks the worst. Our hail tracker, again, those colors have dropped, meaning the updraft in the storm has weakened. There still could be some hail in this, but I suspect it's probably going to see pea to marble size hail. We'll take a look and see what the radar is telling us. Yeah, pea size hail. That's not a complete shock. And now that those colors have all kind of come out of that storm, that means that its ability to produce large hail, its ability to produce a tornado, they're dropping fairly quickly. Still no indication that that warning is going to be expired at any point soon, although I would be shocked if it wasn't, because it has weakened substantially. But if you're watching south of Portland, southeastern Ionia County, Mulliken, Eagle, west side of Grand Ledge, perhaps, you know, that's the area of most concern. Just to the west of DeWitt, so you're kind of in the clear there, but just south of Portland is where our main concern is. You know, aside from a tornado warning, I mean, there's still a severe thunderstorm warning as well. So some heavy rainfall, some gusty winds will be possible with these these cells as they move through. Today was one of those days, by the way. I'm going to bring up a different product here. We were watching, you know, the buildup of energy for thunderstorms, the gasoline. And you see how that kind of correlates, those yellows, they follow 96 towards Lansing. And then, you know, really all the way down 96 over towards Detroit. That's where the most thunderstorm energy has been today. And so we suspected that would be the area that would probably see storms fire up. Now, as we put this in motion, you can see how through around 7 o'clock, we still have pretty good thunderstorm energy. And then it starts to dissipate as we get towards 8, 9 o'clock. We lose whatever daytime heating that we have. And that's when we expect that the threat to really start to diminish. Tornadoes are not necessarily a big threat for today. This is more of a just kind of a pulse, you know, quick severe thunderstorm warning day. But this one cell just got in the right spot, kind of moving along with its outflow boundary. And, you know, it did attain some level of rotation. We can put this in motion. And you can notice as it was through, and I'm going to stop this, I want to illustrate this. It was in this area where when the storm first started to form, it was showing some pretty good signs of rotation there. And then as we move a little further in time, it still was rotating some, because you can still sort of make out a little red and green beside each other just north of Odessa. But then as we go towards more the current time, you notice how you really don't have that. There's still just a tiny little bit right there. But it's not nearly as pronounced, doesn't look as nearly as good as it did, but this is really close to Sunfield and Mulliken. So if there is any danger still from this storm, that's probably where it's going to be. It'll continue to head off towards the east. It just may not do so in a fashion that'll produce, you know, big severe weather. The storm, you know, to me that you got to keep an eye on is actually the one south of Mulliken, because it is riding right along. This is the outflow boundary that this storm is riding along. And so sometimes when you get the intersection of these little outflow boundaries and the thunderstorms, and that's where you can get spin-ups and rotation. Don't really see anything there so far, so that's good news. But that'll be a storm to watch, because if it were to pulse up and strengthen, then it might be able to act on that path that it's got on that outflow boundary, and that would be one that I'd be a little more concerned with. So there again is a look at Live Storm Tracker 6 Doppler radar. We're tracking numerous thunderstorms across the area this afternoon. Obviously the one with most importance is the one we've got the tornado warning for. That is still in effect. It has not been canceled. That is in effect until 3:45 for southern and southeastern sections of Ionia County, southwestern sections of Clinton County, and northern sections of Eaton County. Doesn't quite include, downtown Grand Ledge, but it's plenty close enough. You can treat it as if you are. And then as you head over towards Eagle and Sunfield and Mulligan, those are the areas of most concern, in particular Sunfield, because whatever rotation is still left there is, of course, basically right over you. So you want to seek shelter immediately from this storm until it passes. We'll zoom back out. Don't ignore what's happening anywhere else in the viewing area. We've got several other areas of thunderstorms that we're watching, one of which is the activity north of Grand Rapids that will be moving into Montcalm County and northern sections of Ionia County. No real sign of anything too bad there, but it has been rotating a little bit at times. The Weather Service kind of noting that, but they've so far been sticking with the severe thunderstorm warning in that area. So that'll be one area that we watch. If you're just tuning in from some of these areas affected, like Mulligan and Sunfield, tornado warning does remain in effect for you until 3:45 this afternoon. I have noticed, though, on radar, with various different products we have, that these storms have been weakening a little bit, especially our tornado warned storm that is now in southeastern sections of Ionia County. It was actually almost basically over Sunfield where the rotation is, but there's not much rotation left. It looks, fairly meager, just a little minor rotation there. I would be more concerned with just some straight line wind damage if you see anything from that. But with the storm now beginning to weaken, because you can see our hail tracker, how the colors just kind of drop off there, meaning that the storm has basically dumped a lot of its hail and its rain and any potential wind, probably in southeastern Ionia County, maybe northern sections of Eaton County. Also notice that one cell that's near Charlotte, north of Charlotte, that cell is moving a little more towards the northeast, while our cell in Ionia is moving towards the southeast. So that'll be what we call a cell merger. They'll basically run into each other. And the southern cell will probably go up in intensity a little bit. That's typically what happens when you have a couple thunderstorm cells running into each other, is that one will benefit and the other one will not. So I suspect our northern cell with the tornado warning will probably die off pretty quickly as that southern cell begins to take over and becomes the dominant thunderstorm. Plenty of heat and instability out there this afternoon for these thunderstorms. No doubt heavy rainfall is likely with any of these cells. The atmosphere is loaded with moisture today. And then on top of that, of course, we've got the potential for some damaging winds, some hail as well. There's the view currently in Grand Ledge as we continue to look off towards the west at this storm. All we're able to make out from this vantage point is just that it is rain. If there were a tornado, it would be rain wrapped. We wouldn't be able to see it. I just suspect probably at this point there probably is not a tornado on the ground. Still take it seriously. Still, head to your safe area until it passes. Better to be safe than sorry. But I feel like at this point, given that southern cell is about to bump into our northern cell with a tornado warning, then it probably will not continue to be able to produce anything tornadic this afternoon. Our hail tracker, I want to kind of keep checking back with this because I suspect that cell that's north of Charlotte will probably produce a little better hail size once these two storms begin to interact a little bit more. And again, hopefully, I don't see any signs of rotation with that southern storm, but if it pulses up, since it's kind of riding that little outflow boundary, then it may begin to spin just a little bit. So, we'll continue to have to watch that. There are no watches in effect this afternoon. There's no tornado watch, no severe thunderstorm watch here. If you look at the current watches in effect, really across the region, there's very little happening. So we don't anticipate a big severe weather day. Whatever happens should be very isolated. The Storm Prediction Center was watching from Lansing east for a possible watch, but they have since indicated that they don't anticipate a watch to be issued. So whatever we have today will be very widely scattered. It will not be a situation where, widespread damage, not a repeat of last August. Remember the big line of storms that did a lot of damage? I don't anticipate a repeat of that. This will be more individual cells that briefly can become severe, and then they typically will weaken fairly quickly. Our cell continues to look disorganized to me as it makes its way now into northern sections of Eaton County. It's pretty close to Sunfield. Portland, you probably missed the worst of this. And then if you live in southwestern sections of Clinton County and northern sections of Eaton County, that would be the prime area to watch out for anything possibly spinning up. As we look back at our warnings, a tornado warning remains in effect for Clinton, Eaton, and Ionia counties until 3:45, though it's not the whole counties. So Potterville, you're not under this tornado warning. Charlotte, Lansing, anything like that. This is mainly Mulligan, Sunfield, west side perhaps of Grand Ledge, and then just south of Portland along the highway. This storm is now moving into northern sections of Eaton County, and so as that happens and it runs into this cell that's south of Mulligan, you're getting kind of a double whammy in Mulligan because you got a storm north with a tornado warning and a storm south that is fairly strong, and these two are going to kind of bump into each other. So I would almost guarantee that I'm going to draw this on here. I've got to watch out for some localized flooding in this general area when these two cells begin to run into each other. It's going to give it a little extra oomph, and it'll strengthen for a moment, and then as it weakens, it'll dump a tremendous amount of rain. And rainfall rates, obviously, in this type of storm environment, they can produce a tremendous amount of rain in a very short amount of time. There's a look at the Doppler estimate on how much rain is falling per hour. It's not going to be over here for an hour, but when you see over an inch possible per hour, that means probably going to be slowing down. There's going to be really heavy rainfall. There'll be some ponding on the roadways, and you've got to, kind of take it slow as you kind of navigate your way. That cell, though, in Eaton County does not have any sort of warning on it. It's mainly this northern cell, which again has been weakening quite a bit. So there's very little of our hail tracker left now on that cell. So I feel really good that this storm has kind of done what it's going to do and hopefully beginning to weaken. I see very little indication of anything left rotation-wise. If there was, that would be Dow Road and Benton Road would be the intersection, M43. So, those two roads are the intersection of where there is even any possible rotation left. And I'm going to back this up a little bit so we can kind of follow this rotation along. So we'll move it forward now, and you follow it through Sunfield, right along M43. We'll probably pass what's left of this rotation just south of Mulligan. That'll be where that crosses. National Weather Service just letting me know that they're going to cancel the tornado warning momentarily. So nothing we didn't expect. I mean, you've been tracking along with me at home, and all the signs are there. Pardon me, that this cell is beginning to weaken and has a lower chance of producing a tornado. Tornado warning will be allowed to go on for another minute or two, but we'll kind of wind things down here in the Weather Center. Our policy is if there's a tornado warning, because there's a lot you don't know when you're watching radar. So sometimes those things can happen rather quickly. So we stay on continuously with tornado warnings, and we try to do briefer cut-ins for severe thunderstorm warnings, again, depending on the severity. If it's like last August, we went on continuous for severe thunderstorm warnings. So there are the warnings. Tornado warning cancellation is coming out momentarily. And they're going to kind of treat this more as a severe thunderstorm since we've lost a lot of the rotation in there. Every indication to me watching this, as a meteorologist, is that this storm is weakening. It's dumped some heavy rain, probably some wind in southeastern Ionia County, though, as you look at our storm reports so far, there really haven't been very many, and that also is great news. We've had hail reports. This was out of Ionia County of 1 3/4 inch golf ball size hail, and that was Clarksville. So, that kind of hail will do some significant damage to your vehicle. So it's always good on days like this where there's a hail potential to keep the car parked in the garage just in case. Numerous thunderstorms continue to develop across the area this afternoon, and those cells will have at least a chance to produce some damaging wind gusts and some severe hail, 1-inch size or larger. So those will be our biggest two concerns heading through the rest of the afternoon. The cancellation for the tornado warning is happening momentarily, so if you live in an area that's been affected like Mulligan, Sunfield, west side of Grand Ledge, tornado warning is going to be canceled. There may be some new severe thunderstorm warnings, and of course we'll let you know about those. For now, though, we're going to wrap things up here with the threat now diminishing across the area. Keep it right here on 6 News. You can get interactive radar on our website, WLNS.com. Of course, our Storm Checker 6 weather app for all those warnings or watches that we deal with this time of the year. For now, though, with the threat beginning to diminish, we'll get you back to regular programming.
We now return you to our program already in progress.